Good afternoon. This is Bobby from Black Views, and these are the views of the black community. Today, in particular, my subject is going to be about Joe Biden, and the subject is why black people should not vote for Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a history of basically uh, saying things. Let's look at his history in particular. In 1994, there's a bill, crime bill, Joe Biden crime bill, upon which he pretty much fathered before Congress, basically swaying them that people that do crimes were degenerates. At this time, we're talking about 1994, so we're talking about after a time upon which black communities were flooded with drugs. Black men were forced, pretty much, yeah, forced to. I will say forced to. Not all black men sold drugs, but in urban communities, that's what they had. And unfortunately, there's seem to be more black men that were out of work at that time and felt like they had to hustle in order to put food on their table. When I speak of this, I speak of this of times where black people worked in manufacturing, pretty much car manufacturers, vehicle manufacturing, any type of manufacturing upon which assisted during the world wars from the 40s into the 50s. And these jobs went away. When these jobs went away, black communities went into havoc. There was a continued influx of immigrants from European nations that flocked to the United States to take advantage of jobs that were suddenly protected by unions. Black people were not part of unions at that time, therefore these jobs were shipped away and black people were undercut. So this is how you see in South Central, Detroit, pretty much all the major cities in the United States were affected by this. Young black men, fathers, did not have jobs to take care of their families. Then came in the solution, hey, we have welfare for you ladies. You don't need those abusive men. You have to understand the mind and conditioning of a black man during these times. There was a lot of racism. Some of this was before civil rights and after civil rights. Racism. When I say civil rights, I'm talking about the Civil Rights Bill and laws that were put in place to protect, supposedly to protect us. But you still had headholds of families that did not have jobs. Men that did not feel like men because they were unable to provide for their families. So, black men went to drugs. Drugs caused crimes, which caused violence throughout the streets. These are all man-made conditions. Conditions that are created by, the owners of the United States. Those people that run the United States allow these things to happen. And I'm going to play a video. It's a short video. I don't think it's about 2 minutes long. Where basically it's going to show. Well, if you listen, you'll listen to some of the things that Joe Biden said during this time, so that lawmakers would pass laws that were unappropriately lock black people up, disproportionately, I meant to say. And you'll see that jails across America have more blacks than they have, percentage-wise, the citizens of people. So I want you to listen to this information, and I want you to understand what it is to be black. When I say to be black, I'm not talking about immigrants that are the same color tone as black people. I'm talking about black people who are descendants of the United States. This has been put upon them. And we have millions of black men that are incarcerated at this time. So take some time to listen to this video. Thank you very much.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said, rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. But we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks still exist. And we must deal with that.
Okay, so you saw the video. Tell me what you think. Did you hear the tone? Did you hear how he talked about these particular people, these people on the street, how he didn't care about how basically they got to this point, how they got that way. They're tired of rehabilitation. There's no more rehabilitating these people. Who was he talking about? He must be talking about the drug dealers, the violent crime on the street that were happening in all the communities throughout America because of the drug that was on the street, the lack of jobs, the lack of training, all the things that were a lack of due to the previous presidents. Here he comes with the solution to lock every black man up. Every man that thought, that broke the crime. It was a crime, exactly. They were trapped into this crime. Something that they fell for. And millions of American black men are now incarcerated in jail because of this. And now in 2020, he wants to run for president. He wants to shake black men's hands. But what has he done for black people, though? Has he gone on record to say, maybe I made a mistake. Some of the things I said in the past, I don't feel that way anymore. He hasn't said anything because he's been doing his job for his people. Okay? Remember, he comes from a coal mining state. I'm sorry, a coal mining county, a city, a town. That's what they thrived off of, coal mining. So coal mining's no more. So now there's jails to be created, jobs to be created, to maintain prisoners, to continue free labor. And this man has been a politician pretty much all of my adult life. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 20 years old. That was in 1992. He said this in 1994. It's now 2020, and all my adult life, this man has imposed oppression upon a group of people. And this is why black people should not vote for Biden. He doesn't even agree with reparations. Give us something back. He hasn't even said, at least in sports, the referee, he did a bad call, so he'll make sure that he makes a call, that he makes sure he makes a call. To sometimes, hey, I know I got you bad on that one, but I'm going to make sure I make the proper call this time. They do that sometimes. This guy says nothing, he wants to shake every black man's hand, every black woman's hand. He wants to appear as if he's a friend to our community. But he's done nothing for our community but separate us and imprison fathers. So, hey, I'm just putting the information out there. These are black views. I am black. And this is information that black people should hear and take a look at. Before you go to your ballot, at least watch this video and listen to the content. And if this isn't logically making sense to you not to vote for this man, then hey, you got to do what you have to do. But I don't see Trump incarcerating black men or putting bills out there like that for black men. So I'm not saying vote for Trump, but don't vote for this guy. Thank you and have a good day. Please give me a like. Also subscribe. I have more content coming on the way. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your patronage. Thank you.